last stop on our SharkTuner software tour is the data logging page of SharkTuner. And we've got two selection boxes. The one on the left is fuel variables to log, and next to that ignition variables. And this is where you choose the data variables that you want to include in your log file. And we'll go through and check the ones that are most important for tuning, for being able to review your data later or run it through SharkPlotter. RPM, of course. MAF signal absolute. This is the MAF load signal, and we do need that. We don't care about MAF signal percent or voltage for logging purposes. Those are useful for diagnostics. Air-fuel ratio. That's our wideband reading. That's critical. We don't need to record injector pulse width, but we'd like to, just to keep an eye on where we are relative to the maximums. Duty cycle can be computed later if we want. There's no reason that we need to do it. Coolant temperature, either degrees F or C, is useful, but again, not required. Throttle position is important because LH behaves differently at wide open throttle versus cruise versus idle. We don't especially care about battery voltage, but we can log it if we want to. Don't care at all about flappy position. And we do want sensor adjust. If the LH is making changes to the fueling, we would like to log those. So that's our basic collection of variables for the LH. On the EZK, we don't need RPM again, it's the same number. It's handy to record ignition advance, but not all that important actually. We do need the EZK load because it's not the same scale as the LH MAF signal directly. It does get translated. Knock count is interesting, but we're primarily interested in knock retards. That records the cylinder by cylinder values for each cylinder for the amount of retard. And that will identify which cylinders are actually getting into trouble first. Coolant temperature, no reason to have both once we verified that it's working. Air-fuel ratio, again, has already been recorded on the left. Knock count, don't really care one way or the other. That's just a count of knock increases. So retard is the important one, and the ignition load number. And that's it. SharkTuner will save those. You've got a box over here to tell it when to log. Generally, just go ahead and start when I push the button. And we can just do a quick data log here. Start logging. It's going to be pretty boring just sitting here idling. But you can watch the numbers scroll by. And if we stop logging, it freezes. Now this data is not yet saved, so we have to save it before we go too far. But you'll notice various columns all represent the data we selected above, and we can sit here and play with this if we want. And we can also look at it with a data plot from here. That'll be another topic. Most importantly, we right now want to save the run. Let's drag this guy back onto our screen area. I've already got a folder set up for SharkTuner log files. It's not the 25th right now. This happens to be the 27th. So I'm going to go up one level. These are all my various collected log files for this car. I'm going to create a new folder, and I'm just going to give it today's date because it's convenient and because that's what SharkPlotter is going to be looking for. Okay, open that folder, and it's going to be called Run 1. We'll just save it just like that. Now I'm going to do one more thing here, which is I'm going to save a copy of these PEMs in that same folder just to be sure I've got a record of them. And again, SharkTuner can take advantage of that. So I come down here and save my LH fuel PEM as, and by selecting the as setting, I get to name it for sure. Okay, it goes to the folder I just created. Smart little thing. This is an LH, so I'm going to call it LH0. That's my starting LH file for this log. And then I'm going to do the same thing for the EZK, save that EEPROM as EZK0. Check that my folder's the same, I'm good. And that's it. We've saved our bin files, our EEPROM files, and we've saved our first data run.